Up next, we've got to talk about the folks over at MSNBC who have gone pretty wild in their coverage of Elon Musk, with one guest recently calling for the ex-CEO and Tesla CEO to be prosecuted because he says things that the folks at MSNBC disagree with online. Let's take a look at this pretty disturbing clip.
The headline says Elon Musk's misleading election claims accrue 1.2 billion views on X. False or misleading claims about the U.S. election that Elon Musk has posted to X have generated nearly 1.2 billion views, according to an analysis published Thursday by the nonprofit Center for Countering Digital Hate. Researchers from the center say they identified 50 instances this year when Musk posted election claims that have been debunked by independent fact checkers but spread widely on the app anyway. Again, no surprise to you, but he actually controls the algorithms. People have said ever since Elon Musk has taken over, certain people's accounts don't get amplified, other things do. This is a guy who said he wanted to own X to make it a town square, to make it a public square where voices were not squelched. Now it's being used for exactly the things you wrote a book about that almost wrecked some of our elections.
So the critical element in thinking about Elon Musk is, like any American, he has a right to his own opinion, and he has a right to express his opinion. However, that right is not unlimited, and he is under some special limitations that wouldn't apply to normal people, because his companies, specifically Starlink and SpaceX, are government contractors. And as such, he has obligations to the government that would, for any normal person, and should for him, require him to moderate his speech in the interest of national security. So what you have is somebody who runs really strategic defense and aerospace projects for the federal government, who's actively undermining the government, which is paying him. And somewhere in there is a legal case that needs to be prosecuted.
Excuse me? I mean, look, it's not super clear what this guy means, but to even imply that somebody should be criminally prosecuted, right? Prosecuted refers to criminal charges because of the things they say online that you guys think are untrue. And to be fair, Elon's posted some stuff about elections online that is misleading or is not accurate. He shit posts on Twitter far too much for my tastes, including a lot of stuff that I think is misleading or inaccurate. But you know what? That's free speech. That's protected by the First Amendment. There is no exception for misinformation or hate speech or any of this other nonsense. You are allowed to be wrong in public. That is part of free speech. And you need the freedom to be wrong in order to figure out what's right. It's really simple. Con law, Constitution 101, free speech 101. And look, I guess I'm not old enough to remember when MSNBC was like truly a liberal network, right? But it has this reputation of being liberal. Well, actual old-fashioned, old-school liberals believe in free speech and the open marketplace of ideas and debate. They believe in free expression. This is like a pseudo-fascist, pro-government crackdown type, big government progressivism that has really nothing in common with classical liberalism whatsoever. It's really scary and frightening stuff. And no, I don't really buy the argument that just because Elon's companies have contracts with the federal government, he is somehow not entitled to the protections of the First Amendment in his personal capacity. No, not how that works. And two, I don't really see how SpaceX or Starlink working with the feds is affected by Elon personally tweeting his opinions about politics. To me, those two things can and should coexist independently. I don't see that. I view that as a real stretch. It's like they do this thing often where they just invoke national security with no real details or explanation as an attempt to justify censorship. And are there rare exceptions where national security concerns brought up in this context are legit? Yes, but more often than not, it's kind of brought up as a smokescreen, as a justification for a crackdown on speech they don't like. And the MSNBC host here just moved on, like, yeah, that sounds like common sense. Anyway, moving on. But I would like to think that the folks at MSNBC, and I guess maybe I'm being naive or too generous, I'd really like to think they'd have the basic common sense and critical thinking to have the foresight to realize that allowing the government to crack down on false information that's spread online is not going to work out well for MSNBC There is a good chance that Donald Trump is going to be the next president of the United States. Just as a matter of reality, it's a good chance it could happen. And he has, over the years, said things that I do disagree with, that he would like to crack down on the press in different ways. And guess what? He is going to certainly view a lot of MSNBC's coverage of the election or of his administration, if he were to win, as false or misleading, even if some of it might not be, right? But all of this is subjective. But when you make the government the arbiter of truth and let it crack down on untrue statements posted online, well, guess what? That government might be run by Trump soon. So it is insane to me that the folks at MSNBC, at least this one host, can't see how incredibly short-sighted this ground they're allowing to be staked out on their airwaves is, and how it would almost certainly redound to their own demise. And of course, I would still defend them if that were to happen. I would defend their rights. But part of me would also say, well, you around and you found out, right? You played stupid games and you won stupid prizes. And unfortunately, that's becoming a real pattern for the folks over at MSNBC. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below.